Guys, Big One 589 here. We have a couple guests here today. We got
Christian.
And we got
Bronson.
All right, so Mr. Bronson, we know his nickname. Now, you need a nickname. We're gonna follow tradition now. You need a nickname. What do you want your nickname to be?
Well, I have a video game YouTubing account, so I guess I'll stick with Darkness Overlord.
All right. So, we're here on behalf of Mr. Pennywise. You can see on the shirt over here by Mr. Darkness over here. All right. We all conjointly, all at certain different times, went out to go see It, the 2017 version, and we saw the 1990s original. Now, we're going to go through the whole premises of the movie and what we think between each one. So we're going to start off over here with you guys over here. We're going to say, from the original, we know that it was a 3-part series on TV.
It was 2 parts on
Two
TV.
parts? All right. It felt like 3, though, how long it was.
How long it was, it felt like 3, but it was 2 parts, and they split it on the DVD. One half of the DVD is like the children's part, and like it'll still work in like the adult, like having the flashbacks, but the beginning, like the first half, is mostly about the kids.
Yeah.
And then once you flip the disc over and put it back in, it's the second half where it's the adult fight with the monster.
Yeah. So it was intriguing to see that, you know, this series was split into different parts from the book in the 1990s, but then in 2017 released it. So our first comparison is going to be the general overall feel from the 90s compared to the 2017.
Well, we just start off by saying that there's nothing against the original. You know,
Yes.
it's a classic. There's a reason why people remember this movie. But that being said, it needed the rated R treatment. Made for TV movie, it was PG at best. And again, it was so much success. You know, people say, "Oh, this was lousy." Well, maybe it was, but it must have done something right because people still remember it.
Exactly.
So 2017 had that. It had in my opinion, that 80s horror movie feel, but with, you know, the 2017 update to it. It could have gone totally, you know, CGI and felt like a 2017 movie, but no, when I was watching it, I felt like I was watching a 1980s horror movie.
It did almost feel kind of like a Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street kind of like feel from there.
Exactly.
Like with Pennywise in the newer one, he didn't really mess with the children as much as the Tim Curry Pennywise did.
Yeah.
But Bill Skarsgård did an amazing job. He was demented, he was quirky, but he was also scary.
Yeah.
The Tim Curry one was, I'm not going to say cheesy, because he's still an amazing Pennywise. He's still the original, and he's still the one that people is going to remember for a very long time.
It was more comical than anything.
Exactly. Tim Curry was more comical. He was like a Freddy Krueger after part 3.
But if I may, it was, again, he had to do that because it was PG.
Exactly.
He couldn't rip a kid's arm off.
Exactly. He couldn't rip a kid's arm off, or they couldn't show a kid getting someone else's name carved into them.
Right.
They couldn't show that because it was for TV only.
Yeah, for its time though, they were kind of like under a lot of censorship too.
Exactly.
Like back then, it's like they couldn't show everything. It's like unless you're getting into an NR theater or a adult-rated film.
Exactly. And Stephen King is an amazing author, but when it comes to his directing, he likes to tell more than he shows.
Funny you bring that up because a buddy of mine, Observer, brings it up with his writing though. Stephen King likes to jot on about random things that had nothing to do with the story.
He's good at making a scene, he's good at explaining the scene, but I feel, in my opinion, and I know a lot of other people feel this way too, he's not good at showing what's going on when he directs stuff.
So we all basically had the same feel with it kind of came to it at that point.
Yeah, it was more dark, it was more in-depth, it was more edgy, it was more 80s feel to it. It was what a horror movie is supposed to be.
The whole movie personified darkness. It was beautiful.
Not too many happy parts I can remember.
To the next question. I may cut you off, but we talked about the overall general consensus of feel in the movie, how the feeling of when you watch it. Now, how do you feel that the characters from the 90s, the kids, the Loser Club, the bullies, like all the younger casts, compared to each other. I mean, do you have a favorite out of each one? I mean, or do you think that it's kind of like one-sided?
All right, so I guess I'm gonna start with this one.
That's what I'm looking at you.
I do like both casts from the miniseries and the new 2017 remake.
Yeah.
But I feel like the new cast has a little bit more to offer than the 90s cast did, and I'm saying this because they went through more, per se, in my opinion, in the movie than they did in the miniseries. Like, yeah, a couple of jump scares, yeah, some scary teeth, that's
there's simply more material.
Exactly. Right. There's simply more material to work with nowadays than the 90s cast had to back then.
Yeah.
Therefore, I feel like the cast now has a better chance of succeeding. You know? Like, this movie, you can feel how they're feeling.
Let's just throw it out there, and you watch Stranger Things on Netflix, I believe. The kid who plays Richie, he's probably my favorite out of the whole thing.
Definitely.
You would think you'd love Beverly or Bill,
hilarious.
but this kid pulls out so many damn one-liners. Like
during the movie, I was thinking this is Quagmire as a child.
Yeah, exactly.
Like for example, that one line, he was like, "You mean who'd she do? The list is longer than my wang." Like, that's something you'd think Quagmire would say.
Exactly. So it's really interesting to see how the progression of characters from the 90s to 2017 is, because I think 17 they have stronger, how I put it, thought process how these characters should be in a movie.
Exactly.
The other one, just like this, I felt like I was watching an old 80s bad acting film.
Yeah, and another thing is, with the 90s...
The 90s, yeah.
Sorry, my mistake. The 90s miniseries, the kids were too mature. In the new movie, they're kids. They're 13-year-old kids. They're supposed to act like kids. Excuse me. They're also supposed to have the sense of maturity in order to defeat Pennywise. They're not supposed to be mature all the time. They're supposed to act like kids, but when the time comes is when they're supposed to mature up and act like heroes.
What was important to me as far as the acting blew me away. I mean, everything, I can't really pick out anything, right off the bat that I didn't like about the movie, but the acting made it. These kids acted like kids, which sounds like a simple concept, but it's not. You see some movies and these kids are they all act like Disney characters. No, that's not how real kids act. Real kids act like these kids did, and it made the movie for me. It gave it a put it in the realm of reality.
Yeah,
it didn't feel Hollywoodized as many films are ruined for us today by that concept, and that I mean overglossing the CGI overload and the nonchalant who gives a crap acting.
Not to go off topic here, but with the little bit of CGI that they did use in the movie, they worked it in perfectly.
So the next question I would have would be how do you feel about the town, like the between the 90s compared to the 2017? I mean, there is it's a subtle difference with it. I felt like, in my opinion, it was more industrialized in the 90s. It was more close together and compacted, and compared to the 2017 remake, it was open. There was a lot more to it. There was a lot more coverage area for these kids to go places, Yeah,
I can agree with that. And another thing with that is the feeling you get with the town too. In the 90s miniseries, it's like, oh yeah, this is just another normal town. Oh, just this creepy clown thing that goes around every 27 years. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a few bullies, some losers around. That's a normal town. But with the remake, it blends in the fact that the parents already know. It shows the town has a dark secret. It shows that the parents are, some of the parents were kind of creepy, for example, Bev's father. He came off more pedophile-ish to me.
Well,
yeah.
But it was dark, and that's what it's supposed to be.
The parents, I'm sorry, I don't
Continue.
skip. The parents came off to me as completely complacent as parents. Just, you know, we know, like, where they wrote it in as, you know, parents hushing something or subduing something.
Like,
Yeah.
it never happened. Don't say anything.
Yeah, shut it up.
I got
shut up
that.
if you don't say anything, it never happened, and
Exactly.
therefore
I get that
we won't
feeling
remember.
from it. But please continue.
No, I actually forgot what I was going to say, but I completely agree with what you were saying with that. It was a very Nightmare on Elm Street-ish feel.
Which without copying it, which I thought was
Exactly. It was
great.
like their own creation, but still kind of homing in on that idea.
So we get to the main question here. Now, this is the biggest topic question here. How do you feel Tim Curry did compared to the 2017 here? And we all have different opinions, or may have the same opinions, but I'm pretty sure we're probably equal to what we're going to say here. So, what do you think?
Tim Curry's performance, classic, absolute classic. But as we pointed out before, he was, due to the rating system, he was not forced, but coerced kind of into being more comical instead of more menacing and horrific. Whereas, I can't pronounce his last name, Bill
Skarsgård.
that guy, his performance is outright, like, just horrific, and it's in a great way. And you can see the reflection on the other actors' faces when they finally see him.
Yeah.
I think it's parallel to what the original Joker in the '66 series.
Jack Nicholson.
No.
No,
That was the 80s movie, wasn't it?
Yes.
I know you're talking about the guy with the mustache.
Yes. George
Yeah.
something. His
I know who you're talking
his performance compared to Heath Ledger's. You know what I mean? It's like that. He did great for his time, but now it's time for this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, it's more dark.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
Heath
So-
Ledger was more darker than
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Completely. It's just updated. It's just
Exactly.
beautiful.
What do you think?
What I think, I can agree with what Bronson said over here, but Tim Curry will always be the original Pennywise.
Bravo.
He will always be the first person, except for this new generation, that went to go see this and didn't see the miniseries growing up. But with the 90s miniseries, with Tim Curry, he brought a different fear. It still scared an entire generation of children.
Yeah.
It still scared parents. It still brought that fear of clowns out. And even though it was comical and cheesy, it was still very, very in-depth into the story.
Yeah.
Granted, it couldn't be as dark or as in-depth as the new 2017 remake could be, and the effects, like, the effects and, like, what happens in the story was more brought out in the new one with Bill Skarsgård, but Tim Curry is still an amazing Pennywise. He's still the one we're always going to remember.
I totally agree with you. I think that it makes a lot of sense that Tim Curry is a classic, you know, It, and I just think that Bill's It is probably the best one out of the franchise, but nothing's ever gonna be Tim Curry. I think you got to respect your history, your and stuff like that. But I think it was a passing of the torch at this point.
Exactly.
It was a passing of the torch. It goes, there's a movie.
I would like to see Tim Curry in the sequel.
That would, in some sort of cameo, like how Stan Lee does in all Marvel movies, that would be awesome. I don't know if it'll happen, though, because of the stroke, and he's still kind of messed up and in the wheelchair and everything.
Sure, but
So
they could do
that would
something
be
interesting
awesome.
with it.
That would be really, really awesome.
So this has been a special episode of Movie Madness, guys. It's movie A or B. More to come. We'll definitely let you know what movies are coming out for A or B Movie Madness, and more of these guys in here shooting these videos with me. If you like that video, hit that like button, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and signing off.